Did you know that QR codes are the main method of payments in other countries, but hasn't made its way to the US? I didn't know this, but today we're going to find out why with Daricus Releford. Daricus is the CEO and co-founder of StoreCash, a mobile payment solution for users to pay easily via QR codes at over 200,000 locations, earning maximum cash back at their favorite stores like H&M, Gap, and Chipotle. Who doesn't like that? Let's get excited to dive into this one. But first, welcome to this week's episode of Make Sense, a video podcast that simplifies complex issues at the intersection of tech and people. Whether you're totally hyped on AI and ready for the robot takeover, or you want to crawl into a cave after deleting all of your social media accounts, I'm here with my guest to help make sense of what's going on so you can design yourself into the future. My name is Lindsay. I'm a product market fit strategist, innovation consultant, and venture fundraising advisor. If you're new here, subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So let's make sense of the future of payments and financial technology. Daricus, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to be here.
Good. How'd I do with that intro?
Oh, that was awesome.
You ready? Are you ready to drop some knowledge on us today?
Yeah.
Awesome. So before we get into QR code payments and how the rest of the world does it, let's start with our first segment, Crystal Ball. What does the future hold? This is where I call out interesting predictions for this year, and my guests tell us their hot take. So I'm going to rapid fire some headlines, and Daricus, I want you to say, if you know something about it, say like, yes, that's definitely happening, or no, it's not happening as quick as you think. If you don't know anything about it, say, yeah, I think I want that to happen, or no, I don't want that to happen. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So StoreCash, we're going to start with retail. So in retail, we've got a renewed focus on tracking technologies. So to improve on personalization will be a massive win for retail, but it's going to be hard to do given a lot of the data privacy regulations. What's going on?
So, yes, I want this to happen. I think the way we look at data is in a negative way in the US. And, just being in fintech for a period of time I've been for multiple years, um, I've noticed that actually the more data I give, the less I have chance of being hacked or things like that, and also the more chances I get to actually get discounts and things like that because they know who to target. It's not. I think the way we look at data is we look at it in more of a sense of. Um, Someone knows my name is Daricus, right? And I eat burritos with, lettuce, but it's more of, anonymous data
Yeah.
that is not trackable to the individual, but trackable more to the broader range of people that are in that sector.
In
So
that profile group. So like we get in our heads thinking like this business knows exactly who I am and how I like my burrito. And in reality, it doesn't really know exactly who I am. It just knows that I'm in this category of people that like burritos and other similar things.
exactly, when these massive companies with billions of people, like you are literally a number, like because they can't put a face to everybody, right?
Right.
The way they look at it is, and if they are pulling any data, it's like, okay, males within this age group likes to do these things, So,
Got it. Yeah. I worked for a Fortune 50 financial institution and running their usability testing lab. And everyone that came into that lab thought that that financial institution knew all the details about them. And of course, the financial institution should because you've had a credit card or a bank card with that company. But the reality is like that company is storing that data in some really old enterprise software systems, and they might have that information, but do they have the technology to be smart enough to do anything about it is a different question as well, right?
exactly. And I worked at Google previously to starting this business, and there were data, right? But I did not have the access because I had to get access to one portion that I was able to see, but then I had to get 8 or 10 other accesses, all the way up to the CEO, right? In order to
Yeah.
get, to see actually who the person, to at least have all the pieces to put together and make out who that person
Right.
was. And you have to have access to that. And in these companies, they don't even give that access, not even close, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So
yeah.
there's definitely some plus sides for having uh, a renewed focus in retail on tracking technologies, just because we can get better incentives, better deals, better recommendations. So let's move to another shopping experience. Earlier this year, a startup named Imperia raised a $10 million Series A to create virtual reality shopping experiences. So, Daricus, do you want to shop in the metaverse?
Um, so I believe it will get better. I used a company. They're called
Okay.
Remedy, I believe, but it was a software that could show you at all different ages and also show you in different clothes. Oh my God, they did such a great job. Like I'm trying to look for the shirts that they recommended and styles that they recommended because they did such a great job. Um, but also like your body type matters, So,
Mhm.
like, I believe it will be great, in the coming years, maybe a decade from now. But for right now, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And I always say I have a small torso and long legs, so I feel like I have a weird shape,
Yeah.
So I can't wear certain things, and I have to like balance it out. So whenever they can really get you down to like the inches and like how the pants will actually fit on you and how the shirts will actually fit on you, I think that we will have something. I think all of us will use it. But I think that it's one of those things that like, AI, it'll take a long time to figure out. But I think it sounds like a promising company.
Yeah, I think people have been working on different clothing companies have been working on, virtual try-ons for a really, really long time. We have augmented reality, like trying on your glasses on a website. But yeah, for physical clothing, I'm the opposite, long torso, really short legs. So I've got a different thing going on. Are there any other products besides clothing that you would think, hey, a virtual reality world would be a great way to shop for this?
So definitely groceries. In high school, and these things always take so much time. Like in high school, I was like, "Oh, that'd be cool if you can virtually like buy things in like, a store or like grocery things." Because people really like the in-person experience.
Right.
Of course, you can do it on Instacart, right? And I would, I
But
can.
it's not the same when you're like scrolling flat pages of food. It's you can't see the product placements and the similar products and the different variations the way they're positioned in a physical store.
Exactly, and also like Target, I don't know what they did, and this is mostly a woman thing, but more of a also male thing because I love Target myself. But I see all these memes about like I want to go to Target by myself, right? Like so that I can like buy whatever I want to buy, and really it's because they want those recommendations, right? They don't want to just shop, Target on an app. So it being virtual, something like that being in a virtual world, I think would be pretty cool. I think it will take for it to get to the way we want it another 10 years. But, it will get really good in another 5, and then about 10 will be the critiques to make it.
Will be like when the masses are really doing it. Yeah. It likewise, I saw a meme once about Target that says like, I don't go to Target with a shopping list. Target tells me what to buy. I always say that. I used to say that about Whole Foods too. When I was pinching my pennies as an early entrepreneur, I'd say, I don't go to Whole Foods with a shopping list. Like Whole Foods sales tell me what I'm allowed to buy when I'm
Tell me
there.
what
So
I'm buying.
what's on sale?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk finances. Trend. prediction, finances will become boring again. So just like timeless money principles, basic principles to build wealth, they'll just see a resurgence.
Yeah, so the finances, I think, will actually become a pretty fun thing here in the future, and more focused towards AI. So there's a company, um, I'll shout them out, Ava, AVA. They're an app, and this is like they've raised over 10 million plus, and their focus is on AI powering that like you know, financial services, to allow you to, save money almost instantly, and to allow you to do things like invest almost instantly and make these things more fun and actually make it work for you more so that you
Hmm.
get building your credit and things like that. So, I think right now it's very manual.
Hmm.
Right now we're starting to get more of like the AI brain behind things. So it is very boring now in most cases because it's so manual. And I mean, for people like me, it's not boring, but I mean, I'm the small few, right?
Are you a numbers person? Are you a numbers person?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like so the normal person, like I remember I was in the first iPhone that came out. I was like 6 months before it came out. There was like a keynote speech. Had my whole family sit down and watch. I'm like, this is a new thing. And literally, when it came out, no one cared. And then it took about 3 or 4 years for people to actually care about it. That's how fintechs and financial services, are going to be. It's just right now it's manual and it's not as fun, but more as it more turns into more of an AI financial services product. I think that it'll be much funner to people.
Well, you just brought us into the next trend prediction in fintech. So the rise of AI in fintech. So I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to ask you, like, can AI do this yet, or have you seen AI do this yet in fintech? So personalized investment strategies based on an individual's preferences and risk tolerance.
Ava is working on this.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So if
I
they're working on it, it'll still take a couple of years.
I remember 2012-ish, Betterment came out, and you could just drag a dial to say what your risk profile was, and that was a kind of a cool innovation. I know Public, where you can buy fractional, like, fractions of stocks, they'll give you the like buy, sell, trade kind of indicators, but it's not necessarily based on an individual. So I think this goes back to what you were saying about personal data too. It kind of depends on how smart they are with the data they have available.
And that's the thing. Like even like we have gotten. I won't say lazy, but we've gotten to the point where we want technology to do everything for us. We don't want to have any input, and like just dragging, right, is an extra step. And now building an app, I didn't understand every step matters, but now I understand, like, we will cut out certain steps, because we know 90% of people want this and the other 10% may not want it. And we would be okay with that other 10% not wanting it and us getting to the 90% just to cut out a step.
Hmm.
So, you know, that's where, like, if I can get more data, I can now say, okay, based on what this person has invested in previously, they're a risky person. So now I can slot that over for you and say, based on your previous investments, you seem to be a person that is okay with some sort of risk.
Yeah.
And then, like, if they want to slot that or move that, back, they can. But if they get enough data, they'll know, hey, this person is this and this person is that, and then that extra step is literally the difference between a company that makes it or a company that doesn't make it.
Yeah, that transaction happening and there being like a small fee to build the company's revenue or that transaction not happening. Okay, can AI do this? Chatbots can identify customer issues in local languages and dialects. This is it's a little confusing, but like that maybe we go and talk to our bank on chatbots and it's going to be a lot smarter.
So chatbots, and so could you ask that question
I'll
one?
give it another, I'll give you a different version of this. Chatbots can act as financial advisors.
Oh, okay. So are bots going to be smart enough to where they can pretty much AI recommend?
Yeah, I mean, if we can deliver personalized investment strategies on a flat screen based on individuals' preferences, then chatbots can deliver that same information in a chat format. It's just a different interface, right?
Yes, yes. So there's another company, I forgot their name, I think it's Forethought, that is working on customer service AI chatbots, and they're making
Hmm.
it super smart. Um, I believe this, we just got, uh, um, man, it's slipping my mind right now, but where we can ask it any question, ChatGPT. We
Right.
just got ChatGPT. That is going to be the first step into real AI.
Hmm.
So,
What do you mean you just got it? Like you're building it into StoreCash?
oh no, no, no. So us is like just
Like a society, like we
yes,
are
right.
chat gpt, yeah, we've been talking about it on Make Sense all year, like,
Yeah,
ever since December it's just been growing.
yeah. It is the smartest thing we've seen so
Hmm.
far, and chat bots. I do believe I'll give it another 5 years. I won't say 10. I'll say 5 years. They'll definitely be able to do um, uh, very intelligent recommendations.
Yeah,
But yeah, we're not ready for it just
not yet.
yet.
Okay, last one, you kind of mentioned a little bit of it. This is a new one for Make Sense. Credit scoring will become more accurate because we're going to use different data inputs. So we need more effective methods to analyze credit profiles and prevent fraud. So can AI credit scoring help us streamline this process? And is like credit scoring as it is right now, like is that going to stay or are we going to have a different way of doing it?
Oh, so this is a really cool question. So credit scoring, um, I think the way it is right now will remain the same because of the companies that are behind it. And I say the companies that are behind it because they've been around, they're dinosaurs, right? But I do think there'll be a new way to score like your credit, and also to score you as a human. And
Hmm.
I believe that there'll be, people that you interact with, you'll get 5 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that, you know, that will be, that will hold leverage in scoring your credit. Also, um, with all the data, I think that you'll be, a risky profile or not so risky profile with fintech companies, and they'll be able to find out how risky you are. Because in a lot of cases with credit, you need to buy stuff on credit in order to
Yeah.
build your credit. And I think that there's a lot of people out here like one of
There's
my
a lot of people that unbanked people that can't really, get credit scores. And so the system is for sure biased. And I think the effort is like, can we use other activities and indicators to build a credit score besides simply having a credit card and paying bills?
exactly like so my aunt, she was living in a home for it was over multiple decades, paying rent on time, but she was paying it with cash.
Hmm.
And when it was time for her to move out, she had no credit. And so
Yeah.
she, like, her credit was awesome. You could show that she was paying bills on time and it was paying, and that's where if we can get that data, right? And we can show, hey, this person is a trustworthy person. This person has always had money in their account. They never went negative balance. They've always paid their bills and things like that. I think that's where things will change and evolve into new ways of doing credit scores.
Yeah.
But the way credit companies have it now, I think they're going to keep it like that because it's working and it's making them, money. But they'll phase out, just like a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You know,
Will we come up with like a alternative credit score? Like there'll be the Experian, TransUnion credit score, and then there might be a different credit score
yeah,
that more progressive companies are willing to use to, um, qualify customers and other. That's what we're saying.
definitely, yes,
Yeah, cool. Let's move on from that to bring in to like talk about what you do and what StoreCash does. So, our next segment is deep dive. So, in this segment, we get into the details about a specific technology's implications for everyday people. And today, you're going to teach us about QR code payments. Just a little bit of data for the audience. The market is predicted to reach $33 billion by 2030, and this technology is taking off in China, India, Vietnam, Singapore, and the Philippines. It's a dominant form of payment in other countries, but so why? Actually, before we talk about why it's not in the US, why is it a dominant form of payment in all these other countries?
yeah, because so it's cheap and easy to pay, and in these other countries, there's not a lot of money to go around, right? So they found ways to transfer funds quicker from one account to the next.
Is
And
that what you mean by cheap or and easy? Is that it's how quick the funds can go from one bank account to another bank account?
what I mean when I say cheap is like there's a lot of machines that we have to buy in order to accept payments.
Like
So
the credit card processors at and in the point of sale systems.
exactly, exactly. So the POS system, is expensive for every business, and it costs money. And so whenever you kind of look in these other countries, and some of these are developed countries, and some of these are not developed countries, but in both, this is a cheap and easy way to accept funds quick and easily. In the U.S. Just because we want to, we've made it difficult to transfer from one bank to the next bank. And FedNow is starting to make this easier to do, which really hurts the MasterCard and the Visas.
And I
Because,
want to ask you about that in a second, but makes sense. So we got to simplify this stuff.
yeah,
So, okay. So QR codes are cheaper because you can just use your handheld device. You don't need a point of sale system. You don't need a card reader, even if it's the small one that fits in your phone or your iPad. You don't need the bigger ones. You just need an electronic device that can scan a QR code. Is that correct?
exactly. Exactly.
And easier is it is that because also we don't have we don't have to carry more credit cards, more wallets, we don't have to have all that infrastructure.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Everyone has cell phones now, so this is like, tap to pay, but cheaper for the retailer and still easy for the consumer.
Okay, and it's cheaper than tap to pay because you don't need that device to tap your phone against.
Get machines and then the percentages that you have to pay each and all the different processes that make that machine work and things like that.
Okay, so then why has the US not adopted QR code payments the way these other countries have?
So there's a really really complicated, no, it's not complicated. Us in the US, we do not adapt to change very well. It takes us more time to adapt to change, especially in fintech.
Okay.
uh, so if you think of, tap to pay. I'm sure you've done it, and all
Sure.
of us have done it at some point. Very, very easy thing, right?
Hmm.
You click twice, boom, it's done. Nothing out your pocket. You already, in most cases, have your phone. It's really, really simple and easy, and the receipt prints out. Um, that was available in 2015.
Yeah.
Why did we not use it in 2015, 2016, 2017? Why
Well,
did
it's
it?
it's the same thing with like the mobile card readers, right? The handheld card readers that you see at restaurants, they were all over Europe like over a decade ago. The idea that a European would give their card and the employee would take that card out of their eyesight was like not okay to Europeans. And then the US, we didn't see it until the pandemic when like you wanted to keep everyone in their seats and not traveling around without masks or anything. So they started to bring those mobile card readers. So it's the same thing. Is like there's these things that we're just really slow about. Why are we so slow? Is it because of like the bureaucratic big companies that already have a stake in the situation?
Yes, and they want things to stay the way they are because they're making money off of them. And then we also don't really trust our financial services, and we just don't trust them. We don't really know, like they could say they're giving us money back, and we're like, why? You know, they could do benefit to us, and we're still questioning it because we just don't trust
Mm,
financial services here in the U.S. So, it just takes us also a little bit more time to do things. It's everything is so embedded. Like we have so many different things going on here in the U.S. Like we have our systems, and we want to keep those systems because we know those systems work.
right,
And then when we find out that these systems are easier, then it takes us even more to still takes us time to like transfer to use a new system.
right,
So that's about a 4 to 5 year period, and it has always been. And even the pandemic kind of speeded up contactless payments even more.
right.
But in 2018, 2019, it was growing like 2 or 3x what it had been over the previous year. So, um, uh, it takes time here in the U.S. Now in
Yeah.
Europe, when it was available, from your point, what you were just saying, like Europeans were like, "Hey, I'm giving you my car. You're walking all the way back there." This being encrypted even more than you seeing, you can't see my number with this tap to pay. You also like all the security measures and things. They saw it instantly and said, "This is great. Let's use it." And then you also need to, and that's where the cheap and the easy part comes in because the cheaper aspect is a lot of like Wendy's, for example, and I still think I think they just started making the switch. But you have to buy that new reader in order for you to read the contactless payment.
Mhm.
So like, and retailers don't want to change anything because it's already working. So there was a lot of back and forth on both ends, and it took about 5 to 6 years before we actually saw real change.
Yeah. So why is this interesting to you? Why are QR code payments, simplifying payments? Why is this interesting to you?
So I have seen a lot throughout my years, and I have been, at the point where you know, my family has not done very well, and came from a tough background, a great mother, but a tough background. So, and then my family members and things, they came from tough backgrounds. So I was able to see the tough backgrounds, and then as I got older, I got some great opportunities to see the other side, right, of where other people. I would say with a lot more money than me, right? Like other people with more money. And I was able to make a little more money during that time. And so I was able to see both sides. And what I got a chance to kind of see is um, uh, in some instances, it is unfair, but other instances, people do just need a helping hand, right?
Right.
So I wanted to. While I was working for Google, I was with Google Shopping, and I saw retailers and how much they were willing to spend to bring customers into the store with no
Hmm.
retention strategy at all. And I saw some of these businesses, where like, businesses where like, lower income people would say, heck no, I'm not going there. Cost
Right.
too much. But I'm like, if you guys are willing to spend this money to bring people in, why not, open up, you know, these, companies and retailers to everyone and have someone focus more on these underrepresented communities.
I, I I love what you're saying, and you don't have to like mince your words if you want to talk more about privilege and access. I remember reading something someone said online, probably just a Reddit comment, maybe it's a meme, is like the most kind of expensive thing to be is poor because you can only afford like one roll of toilet paper at a time. And we all know that discounts come when you buy in bulk. And so I think that's kind of what you're speaking to is that there's like these opportunities for people with not a lot of money to save more money than they can because stores want to bring them into their establishments, and StoreCash is part of providing that opportunity.
Exactly, exactly. Like, when you see, $125 billion is being spent in card processing fees. So like, you know, the money's being spent. Visa and Mastercard's taking a lot of it, and
Like 3%, 3%. Amex can be 5% sometimes. So like you spend $10, right? 30 to 50 cents is not going to the merchant, it's going to Visa and Mastercard, and that's because we're using cards. But QR codes can skip that. Is that correct?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
And
yeah.
so then that money saved is money that the retailers would be interested in sharing with the customer.
Yeah, because they're spending it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not going to them anyway.
Right.
And they already make profit off of that. And then they also spend a lot of money when it comes to marketing.
Yeah.
And, they can spend all this money into marketing, but for certain groups, they're not going to come either way. It doesn't matter what you market to them because, what they see that store is out of their reach and that's it.
Hmm.
So when StoreCash comes in, we say, hey, there's 400 retailers. There are some retailers that you've always wanted to go to, but that entry point was just a tad bit too high. Now you get 10% back there. You get 7% back there. And what's great about that money that you get back is you can get the same products, but you can also take this savings and then use that now for emergency fund or
Hmm.
saving or things like that. And that's really where, like, I saw companies like Acorns,
Hmm.
and it just seemed unreachable for 60 or 70% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck because, yeah, it's not the 50 cent. It's not that they don't know how to save it. They can't manage the money. It's just they don't have money to save.
Right. Right.
So yeah.
For those of the like listeners that don't know what Acorn is, just tell us really quickly what Acorn
Yeah, so
is.
Acorn, if you were Acorn rounds you up to the nearest dollar. So let's
Okay.
say it's you're spending $3.25. It'll take 75 cents and put it into your savings.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, with that 75 cent, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you need that 75 cents.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah,
So, you're kind of StoreCash is combining kind of two concepts. It's one, this QR payment technology, and then it the other is the participating in the rewards and incentives program. Is there a bigger picture for QR code adoption that you have your sights on?
Yeah, so we know this is coming to the U.S. We believe it still will take, 4 to 5 years for it to really be a thing within the U.S. And if we can really spearhead this in the U.S. And build this out, then hopefully we'll be the go-to people that want to adopt this within their fintech applications. We've already partnered with two other applications that want to adopt this, and we can also potentially in the future provide an API so users can then use, us to provide these payments to be cheap and easy.
How does QR code payments skirt the merchant transaction fees that MasterCard and Visa and Amex and Discover charge?
I'm sorry. Say that one again.
Sorry about that. Yeah. How does QR code payments skirt the merchant transaction fees that MasterCard and Visa and Amex and Discover et al. charge?
So it's more of a ACH. See, I'm in fintech so long. I say these things.
ACH, like the direct deposit, is it the same as if you're just paying with your debit card at a point of sale or no?
So to break down Mastercard and Visa to really simple form is they make the payment look instant, but really
Hmm.
what's happening on back end is it's coming from your bank and it's going to their bank. So Visa and Mastercard, if you say, "Hey, I'm paying you with $10," no one wants your bank because it'll take them $3 to get the money, or I'm sorry, 3 days to get the money, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe it could be 24 hours, but it could be
Yeah.
36 hours. They don't know when they're getting it. Um, when you do it with Visa or Mastercard, then it runs through their rails. But really, what they're doing is fronting the funds on the front end. Here's your money. Let me get 3% so I can give you this money now, and I'll take the money from their bank.
Yeah.
So that's the behind the scenes on how it's working with StoreCash. We have them run more so through our rails, which is
Hmm.
more directly connected with the retailer and more from our bank to the way funds would flow is if if someone's paying somewhere, we would front the money, but then we would pull that money from their bank,
Hmm.
and we pull that money from their bank. We'll get that money within 24 hours, but the retailer will get the money instantly, and then that is how we pretty much do what Mastercard and Visa is doing, and just evade the Mastercard and Visa rails.
Their merchant transaction fees. Is it kind of like Zelle is able to instantly transfer money? So is it kind of using that same technology? Because we used to have to transfer from bank account to bank account and it'd take 3 days, but now Zelle can instantly transfer that money.
Yes, and the reason why, like, so we had to work with these retailers to make this more of an instant process on back end. But you know, Zelle was Zelle came out because they wanted to compete against Venmo
Yeah.
because Venmo was doing this instant.
Yeah, it was
And
making peer-to-peer payments possible.
yeah, and Zelle, the people behind Zelle are actually all the banks.
Right.
And they're just trying to so the way they actually pay each other is via IOU.
Yeah.
Like, so like they
So
pay each
are
other.
you saying that they're just giving us the appearance of instant transfer, but like on the back end, they're not actually instantly transferring money? They're trading IOUs and then reconciling at some point.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Like I trust Chase, Wells Fargo's like I trust Chase to say if you're going to send me $100, you're going to send me $100,
Yeah.
and that account has $100 in it, and they're hoping that they get that money on back end, which they'll get it, But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's all banks.
So
That's
it's that's different than QR code payments. It's different than the technology you're using.
so that's from bank to bank. This is more from StoreCash to retailer. So
Got
yeah,
it.
it's not really different. It's just different people on the ends, which is why it took so much time to kind of work with these retailers to
Hmm.
do this. Um, but it makes it better for customers and consumers because we can now send those funds back to them. Plus, we also get a kickback from the marketing expense. So if a retailer normally spends about 15%, if not 25% on marketing. So we cut into that and get maybe 6%, but then if we get 6 plus 3, that's 9% back for that
Yeah.
customer.
That's awesome. So, why does store cash make sense right now? When we previously spoke, I brought up Rakuten and Capital One Shopping. Um, that you said that store cash can get us more cash back. So, why
Yeah.
does store cash make sense right now? And like, what's the inflection point that we're at that like people should be getting on your app?
Yeah. So Rakuten, Dosh, there is no real behavioral change there. So the retailers aren't willing to give more of a kickback because they don't know if they're just signing up. Let's say you sign up for Dosh, and whenever you spend your card, you might get a discount, right? And you don't know where you're getting these discounts. You're just doing what you normally do. So on a retailer's end, they're like, why are we giving them back money if they were going to spend money anyway? So that's why they lower that percentage because they're like they might have came here because of Dosh, but we don't know that for sure. So we'll just give you 2% or
Mhm.
3%. But along with that too, because there's no behavioral change, they're still going through Visa and Mastercard rails. So there's
Gotcha.
another percent that's being sent out to Visa and Mastercard. When people are doing um, and right now it seems more of a drastic change. It's just as easy as tap to pay, but it seems like more of a drastic change in QR codes and barcodes. It's like, okay, these users are actually here for this. They
Mhm.
want this cash back. They're paying with the QR code and barcode, and that's why we have more of a kickback. And then plus we evade the Mastercard and Visa rails and give that back to you
You
too.
save them money, so they give your users a higher percent cash back than the other incumbents.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm excited to try it out, and I hope our listeners try it out too and leave in the comments what they think. We're going to move on to our final segment. Who needs a safety net? In this segment, I ask my guests to share their risks, failures, nay, learning lessons of entrepreneurship and creating their own path to the future. You told me a funny story. I want to hear more in full about pitching a TV show. What did you learn?
Oh boy, that
Well,
was
tell us a little bit of the context. Give us the upfront details first, and then tell us what happened.
Yeah, so that was I think 2012, 2013. It's a little while ago. I'm an old man now, though. but um, so I started a business right out of college, and it was we were thinking about women at the time. So I always prep people before I tell them what I did because it sounds crazy. Big, black, heavier set guy dipping chocolate covered strawberries, but we sold chocolate covered strawberries all across the U.S. I built a custom packaging where we shipped them all across the U.S. And we thought at the time we had a lot of money. We put $25,000 together to build out this business. So I bought these boxes. I bought the website. I didn't have any money for marketing. So I said, I don't know how the heck I'm gonna market all this because we just don't have any more money left over.
So you're
So
sitting on a lot of boxes and strawberries and chocolate, but you're like, how do I find people that want these to buy these things? Okay.
exactly, it's a funny story now since I look back.
It's as similar to in the tech world building out your entire product before
Yeah,
talking to customers, right?
exactly. I went through that too. That's a nightmare. But yeah, it's yeah. So we started thinking of creative ways to market, and I came up to my brother one day and I said, "Hey, I think I have a twin brother, and we worked on our previous business together, and now we're both entrepreneurs. He does stuff in San Diego. I do
Yeah.
stuff now in Los Angeles, but." Um, Yeah, I said, I think I can get us on the Steve Harvey show. And I think that I can get us in some magazines. And he's like, okay, sounds good, man. I said, but we got to drive down to Chicago. And he's like, okay. And I had this epiphany when I was in Safe Light. They were fixing my glass, and I saw the Steve Harvey show on television. I'm like, there were twins on the show. And I'm like, we can do that. We can get on there. So I drove literally that weekend, and I delivered my boxes of berries at the time. And I put my messages in there, and we got a call back, and in a couple of hours, and then we later got on the show, and then I said I can do this with Kiplinger too. So I found out I had an inside person. I found out when they all met, and before they met in their meeting space, I delivered my packages. And when it got up to them, they were all in the same office, so they all got these packages. They were like, "What the heck is going on here?"
Chocolate
So
covered strawberries to all of them. Okay. All right.
individual little letters of what I could find out about them online. Yeah, and that got us a feature in the Kiplinger magazine. So then I said, I think I can do this with a TV show. so,
Well,
so
like action and small wins build confidence to keep going. So, all right. So we got Steve Harvey. We got, was it a magazine feature or something?
yeah,
And now
the
you're like,
Kiplinger
let
magazine.
me, let's go bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the big idea?
So I said, I saw Cake Boss, and I was like, we can do the chocolate version of Cake Boss.
Okay.
It was a lot of work. I didn't get the show, but I got very far. So I did the
So it
same.
was a reality show.
So it was going to be like Cake Boss, which is more of like they build like cakes, different types of
Uh-huh. Okay.
on the show, and we were going to do that with chocolate. Yeah, we. I found out who the CEO of TLC and Discovery talked to, um, like during the day. And what I did, I sent a message out to all of them. I drove out. It was in Maryland at the time, so it was like a couple hours out. But I drove out to Maryland and I delivered these packages as a delivery guy. But I didn't tell either one of them that I was sending a package to other people. So hopefully, whenever they talk to each other, they'd be like, "Hold up, you got a package too," and now they're trying to look for who got the packages.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try to send it to the people that talked to the CEO or that the CEO said she talked to on these forums and things.
Okay.
So I thought
So
it didn't
all
work.
indirect. Like you're like, I'm gonna give these packages to people around the CEO and
Oh,
hope that
and
they,
to her too. Yeah.
yeah, okay, got it. Okay.
So yeah, I didn't think it worked. It was like a month later, and I was like, if this doesn't work, I don't know what we're gonna do. And I had got a call, and they were like, "Hey, we got your packages. We think what you guys are doing is great. You need to find someone to shoot the sizzle reel." So I was like, I didn't even know what a sizzle reel was. I didn't know what a
That's pure entrepreneurship. You learn as you go, right? Like
exactly.
you gotta create a sizzle reel and you're like, I'm on it. I know what a sizzle reel is. And then you're like, Google search, what is a sizzle reel?
And like you answer back first, like, yeah, I got this, and then afterwards you're like, yeah, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'll figure it out. So yeah, we had to put together a synopsis. Yes, synopsis. I think I remember. Yeah, but we put that together, and then I pitched it to a couple of companies, Figure Eights Production, who did John and K Plus Eight, and a few others.
Okay.
I drove out to North Carolina and deliver the
You were
package
driving
there.
across the country to do
Yeah,
this. Like you're in Chicago, Maryland, North Carolina.
yeah, I wanted everything to be perfect. I'm like,
Could you have spent that gas money on Facebook ads and gotten some direct purchases?
yeah. Now knowing how Facebook ads work, yes, definitely. But yeah, I wrote a bunch of people. They got back to me. Sent them. They sent out a team. We shot the sizzle reel. It went great. TLC was really excited about it, and then like they were like, "Hey, we need to see Cake Boss's numbers," and things like have their ups and their downs. And Cake Boss started doing the decline, and that's what stopped that option for a show. But yeah, I got close, and after that, I was like, I can do anything. I can figure this out.
Yeah. So is that's the big learning lesson? Like, look how far I got, and even though I got turned down in the end, like,
Yeah, yeah, like, it's yeah, like I said, I got this far, and then I was like, if I can do this, and it kept building upon itself, because when we later sold that company, and I was like, I want to be in tech, so I said I'm going to drive cross country and I'm gonna try to make my bets there, and it took over a year, but I got my first job at Apple, right,
blown.
and then I feel like one of the luckiest guys. Then after that, I went to Facebook and Google. But you know, it was all because I said, I think I can do this. If you strategize well enough and you stick at it, I mean, I don't see why anybody can't do anything. I
Right.
think I can be president if I wanted to. I never want to. Yeah, yeah. So
That's
that's the moral, at least.
that's amazing. There's no other high like doing something, starting onto something where you have no idea what you're doing, and then getting it together enough that people are like, "You never did this before? Really? You never did this before?" It feels really great, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I love that story. So let's make it make sense for everyone. QR payments, they are a popular growing form of payment outside of the US, and they're coming this way. They're cheaper, easy and easier, and you can test this out while earning a bunch of cash back on StoreCash, Daricus's app. So thank you for listening to Make Sense with me, your host, Lindsay Tavis, and guest, Daricus Releford, CEO and co-founder of StoreCash. Where can people find you online?
Yeah, so StoreCash, you can type in StoreCash, or you can go to StoreCashApp.com. So StoreCash on the Android and iOS store,
Yeah.
and StoreCashApp.com on the website. I get so confused because it's so many StoreCash things going in my head.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Awesome. So we'll check out, download it at Android or iOS. Also, check them out online. We hope you enjoyed our take on QR payments. As always, check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Final note though, if you want to continue to be the smartest person in the room, make sure you're getting notified when each episode hits on YouTube. Hit that subscribe for next week's episode, and for audio only, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, Daricus, for joining me.
It's great being here. Thanks for having me.